Daily Detroit is brought to you by the community. Support our work at patreon.com/dailydetroit.
Hello, friends, and welcome to a very smoky Tuesday, June 27th, 2023. That's right. The Quebec wildfire smoke is back. It's been a day, and tomorrow, Wednesday, is going to be an air quality alert day, so make sure that you take care of each other out there and take the proper precautions. Now, as you know, I care a lot about the environment and all of our systems, and today will be the second of a pair of conversations on water. My guest is Gary Brown. He is the director of the Detroit Water and Sewerage Department. We're talking about a bunch of topics, whether it's water affordability, whether it's replacing the lead service lines for health reasons, whether it's doing all these projects and hiring Detroiters to do them, and a whole lot more. So this conversation up on Mackinac Island, I hope that you get some value out of it. Let's roll the tape. Joining us at the table at the Grand Hotel, Gary Brown, director of the Detroit Water and Sewerage Department. Welcome to Daily Detroit. I think it's your first time.
It is the first time, and I'm glad to be here. Thanks for asking.
Oh, I am glad to see you. I've got a bunch of questions, kind of runs the gamut of things. First off, water affordability and access has always been a huge issue in Detroit, and it's an important one, although people have different views of how we should do it. I don't know that there's many people who don't think that water should be something that everyone has access to. But you have been working on some new plans to and expanding plans to make that happen.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. At DWSD, we have the most comprehensive, generous water affordability plan in America, in any utility, whether you're talking about gas, lights, or water. We absolutely believe that any Detroiter that needs help, that help should be there because water is essential, and we want to make sure that we're providing it to every household in the city of Detroit.
So what are some of the details of this Lifeline plan?
So there are three parts to it, and you need all three parts to make it work. The first part is we pay off someone's arrears that qualifies. And to qualify, you can make, by way of example, $36,000 a year with a family of four, you qualify. And so once you're qualified, and we have 22,000 customers currently in the program right now.
That is not a small number.
The first thing we do is we pay off all the arrears, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. We've paid off the arrears, and we give them a fresh start. So the debt is wiped out. Secondly, we give them an $18 water bill. 86% of our 20,000 customers get an $18 water bill. Where does the $18 come from? We believe that if a customer pays more than 1.8% of their household income, $36,000 in the example that I gave, that comes out to $18. If they pay more than that, that's a burden on that family, that they may not be able to buy food, pay rent, and do other essential things. So 1.8% of the household income is what we charge, and it comes out to $18. And then thirdly, we go into the home and we do an audit of the plumbing system, and we make sure that they have no leaks. And if they do have leaks, we fix them at our cost. So in order for this program to work, it requires 3 buckets of money.
I was going to ask, because this is going to require some funding.
Yeah, 3 buckets of money. And so the first bucket is a one-time bucket. We're only going to pay down the debt one time. And so you only need money to pay down those arrears one time. And we've paid all 22,000 customers' arrears off. And that's approximately $20 million. And then second bucket of money that's needed is the gap between the $18 and let's just say an average bill, which is $80. So that's $62 times 20,000 customers. You need $13 to $14 million a year for that bucket. And that's you have to sustain that amount of revenue for this program. And then the most important bucket, or as important as the other two, is the dollars available to fix the plumbing issues. Because if people have leaks, whether they're renting or own the home, they can't get to an average bill. And we need them at an average bill. So you need all 3 buckets of money And they don't all have to come from the same place. There are home repair dollars that allow Detroiters to fix roofs. You can use home repair dollars to fix the plumbing issues. And so we think that's what's unique about our program in Detroit, that it's a true affordability program. Our water advocates often argue that DWSD had an assistance program, water residential assistance program. RAP.
Yeah, I remember
that's
that.
That's what most utilities utilize. But that's not a true affordability program. That you're giving someone $25 a month on whatever their bill is as a way of giving them some assistance. So if the bill were $75 and you give them $25, they have to pay $50. But that's not taking into consideration what they can afford to pay. And the program, while it's helpful, it isn't as robust as the true affordability program that the Lifeline plan has.
I remember some of the stuff with RAP and things like that. How did Lifeline come together?
Yeah, well, it came together during COVID when we went in and no questions asked. Anyone who didn't have water, we shut the water on. We turned it on. No question. Whether they had a meter or not, we went in and we shut the water on. And then we realized that we've got customers that haven't been paying a bill for the last 2 years. And we've got to come up with a program that says this: any Detroiter that needs help in the city of Detroit, no matter what your income is, that help has to be there. And it would not have come to fruition had the governor not allocated some ARPA dollars to pay off those arrears and fund this program. And now the challenge is, in order to keep this program sustainable, is to find permanent funding for the program. Similar to what the energy sector enjoys, they have a LIHEAP program that funds low-income customers' gas and light bill. The water industry does not have that. And so we're asking the federal government to treat our utility the same as a gas and light utility and permanently fund from the federal government these programs.
It sounds like you all took a chance to create lemonade out of lemons when it comes to COVID and say, okay, we're going to use this as an inflection point to say we're going to make a change in this. And then I think the second thing is that when it comes to true affordability, is this something that you think could be scaled? So if you get money from the federal government, would it be something where do you think another municipality could do a program like this?
Oh, absolutely. The Great Lakes Water Authority, which I sit on the board, and just authorized dollars for their RAP program. They don't have a true affordability program, but they have 122 different communities within the Great Lakes Water Authority. And all of those communities could switch over from a RAP program to a Lifeline program, an affordability program, if they choose to do it. And, what we really did is we created a program when we didn't have sustainable funding. But we knew that if we could show people that this program is successful, Jeremiah, all over the country, the hardest thing to do is to get low-income customers to apply. They're proud people. My mother would never, I can't even imagine her.
Oh, I think about my dad. My dad would never apply. He was born in the 30s, right? So it's like I take care of myself.
They would have worked it out.
Yeah.
They would have figured it out. And we have too many Detroiters trying to figure it out.
Well, and trying to figure it out amongst multiple things. You got water, power, all these other things, and it just adds up, and it's too much for anybody.
Yeah, and I'm just a firm believer that, especially politicians, everybody wants to be a part of success. And if we can show that this program is successful, and we had 16,000 households. Now that's 2.3 people per household in those numbers. We had 16,000 in the program within 90 days, which is just unheard of. These type programs take years to build. But we went door to door. We knew who the customers were that were behind in their bills, and we went and knocked on those doors and enrolled them with a tablet on their front porch to get them involved in the program.
Let's talk about some of the infrastructure updates, because I've seen a lot of trucks out. I'm over in the north end, and I've seen a lot of driving around town. I see a lot. So what are you up to? What have you been up to, and what are you up to over the next year?
Yeah, what's exciting right now are replacing lead service lines.
That's a huge thing. I mean, there's cities that have had a lot of trouble with that.
A lot of trouble with that, and we're scaling up to do a number per year that I don't know anyone in the country has done the number that we're trying to do, and so we think we have somewhere between 80 and 100,000 lead service lines in the city of Detroit. The mayor has given me a metric that he wants 10,000 of them done a year. And that's a challenge because of contractor capacity. But the good news is we have the money. We've had $100 million in hand to do these 10,000 lines. The bad news is it's a $1 billion expense to do 80 to 100,000 lines. But we're excited. We've got a $25 million contract out on the street. They're working on those lines on the north end right now. We have another $45 million contract that we're going to award to 5 or 6 additional plumbing companies to do lines in every area, every city council district in the city of Detroit. The real challenge, though, is contractor capacity, and how do you create opportunity for Detroiters to be able to do this work? That's the challenge.
Because you could do something where you brought some people in, but there's also the other goal of putting Detroiters to work and access to the dollars.
Yeah, that's my number one goal. These are, Detroiters pay taxes, and they should benefit from these jobs. There's nothing other that I know of that will lift someone out of poverty other than a job. You're not going to lift people out of poverty with assistance. They want a job, and so we've got to create jobs with this money, and we're doing that. This company that we just awarded a $25 million contract, they're out of Wisconsin, but they've committed to hiring 100% Detroiters. And so we're
100%.
100%.
Wow, because I hear a lot of things. People are like 50%. They have trouble making it.
Yeah, 51% is what the mayor requires under executive order that he issued, but we ask it to be 100%, and we will provide them. I mean, our workforce development team. If you tell us what the skill set is, we will find them. We will train them to that skill set, and then we'll provide them to you. But this is all about creating opportunity for Detroiters.
That is an interesting one. I'm looking forward to seeing and following up on how that goes. Because if you can do it, I feel like that could be a model. If you can do it here with this, I don't want to say smaller, but it's a more focused scale than all the other things where we see about development and stuff where they sometimes have trouble meeting those numbers and things like that. Maybe you could learn something from this to be able to scale that up.
This is the third contract that we've put in place of this nature. The real key is when you put the RFP out, you make it known to all the bidders that Detroiters will be required, and then when you select one of the winning bidder, you put it in the contract, and then I've hired a person that their only job is to go out on those job sites and to make sure that those Detroiters that you say you have are there.
Now, before I let you go, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about a report in another publication, Planet Detroit, that's been covering an issue in Grosse Pointe where they're actually looking at building an outflow straight into the lake to handle when there's large amounts of water. They mentioned that there were a couple of projects happening in Detroit. Can you clarify what those sewer relief situation is in Detroit, what you're looking at?
Yeah, we see an opportunity, and we're working with the U.S. Army Corps on this idea. We're also looking for funding to make it happen. But a relief sewer is simply a very large pipe that is underground that during wet weather events, you push that storm water in the Jefferson-Chalmers area, which has traditionally flooded, into those relief sewers. And then when the event is over with, you slowly release it to the wastewater treatment plant to be treated and then put out into the river.
So to be clear, we're saying grab it, send it to the plant before going, get it treated before it goes out. This is not a direct connection.
Yeah, we don't have any authorization at this point to put untreated discharges into the river. DWSD has eliminated 95% of the untreated discharges. When you have large events that the system can't manage, you actually are allowed to divert from the treatment plant and push water out into the Detroit River. And that's so that you don't flood basements. But we've eliminated 95% of them. There's 5, we'd like to be at 100%. We're working at that goal. Putting in relief valves will get us closer to that goal.
I've also seen some green infrastructure that's been going in various neighborhoods, retention.
Yeah, I am so excited about the 22 different green infrastructure projects around the city of Detroit. There's one on the far west side that's separating storm water from 1,200 homes and putting it into a relief sewer. It looks like a pond in the Rouge Park area. The neighbors had a lot of input on how to design that park that we're doing, and I'm happy to say we're a year ahead of schedule. That project was scheduled to be a 5-year program, and now we're already a year ahead of schedule. So we're halfway through, and we're excited about that. But that's what we're asking MDEQ to allow us to do, to build more green infrastructure around the city to absorb stormwater during rain events, because no one wants a gray infrastructure, a concrete building that's just designed to hold sewage. Nobody wants that facility in their neighborhood. But just about every neighborhood would love to have what looks like a lake and housing built around it at the Rouge Park. That's a great idea.
Yeah. Gary Brown, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you very much to engineer Randy Walker for editing that interview. I appreciate him. I appreciate you for listening. Norris Howard will be joining me tomorrow. We're going to be talking about all kinds of stories around Detroit because, well, let's be honest, there's a lot to talk about. Until then, remember that you are somebody, and we'll see you around Detroit.